The government of Grenada, through the Ministry of Finance, is continuing the rollout of its tax amnesty initiative. The amnesty provides 100% waiver of all interest and penalties on all outstanding balances up to the end of December 2021. All taxpayers with outstanding tax balances and outstanding returns to file are encouraged to take advantage of this amnesty. All tax types administered by the division are eligible for tax amnesty. For further information on the tax amnesty, please contact the Inland Revenue Division at 435-6945 or 435-6946. Email tpshelpdesk@ird.gov.gd or visit our website ird.gd. Amnesty ends December 31st.
I want you folks to play these 3 games from the NLA. Daily pick 3 cash flow and play with. You will be supporting sports and culture, nation building and our future. So go out and play, folks, make it a must. You will see what the National Lottery is doing for us. When you play pick 3 cash flow and play with, the NLA will support you all the way.
Starting September 30th, Monday to Friday, these 3 games will be drawn mid-morning, 9:45 a.m., midday, 12:45 p.m., and evenings, 7:45 p.m. The National Lotteries, supporting sports, culture, and nation building.
Sunday money day.
Yeah. Ride along live. Welcome to the ride. Welcome to Monday on the ride inside. How you guys doing? We are your Komut. How are you guys doing? Welcome to the ride, guys. Nice. We haven't done this in a while, guys. Roll call. Now, over the past month, right? We have grown so large, man, big time all over the world. We got some new viewers, some folks from Zimbabwe that contacted me. They're watching. Some new folks, some new viewers from Nigeria is watching. New viewers. Some new folks from Guyana watching. New viewers. So let me take a quick second, guys, to do a quick roll call. Please, where are you watching us from? Where are you watching us from? Canada. Big up yourself, Canada. Nice, lovely Canada. Happy Thanksgiving, Canada. Happy Thanksgiving. If you're in the US, it is Indigenous People Day. Formerly Columbus. No more Columbus. Indigenous. Canada, UK, Moisha Rush in the UK, Connecticut, Boston. Watching from Guyana. Lovely Guyana. Lovely Guyana. Maryland, New York, Canada. Dominican Republic, nice. USA, the other day, guys, let me tell you, the other day, Guyana beat back all viewers in the world. I checked the analytics, and Guyana was by far the most viewed country on the Ride Along Live. USA, big up yourself, followed by Grenada. Home. All right. Nice, guys. Nice. So we encourage you, Canada, big up yourself. Guyana, big up yourself. We encourage you guys to share the program to a friend and family and get them into the ride as well. Because somebody probably sitting at home and they ain't got nothing to do and they want to be informed and entertained just like you. All right. So send them a link. Grenada, Canada, New York. Yeah. I think New York have it, you know. New York and Grenada have it, you know. Guyana, New York and Grenada have it, you know. Yeah. Canada, big up yourself. Brooklyn. Nice. All right. So I'm going to do another roll call at the end, guys. I want to see who still have it. Because today, guys, a lot of stuff happened today, right? A lot of stuff breaking the internet today. But what I want to focus on today on this program is a young man by the name of Ron Redhead, Honorable Ron Redhead. We're going to learn a lot, all we need to know about Ron Redhead. There have been so much talk in the media. There have been a lot of things that was said. Honorable Ron Redhead decided to come forward and talk about everything that's happening, including the great things that he's doing to transform the Ministry of sports, culture, and youth sports and culture. So there's a whole lot. In addition, wow, this is Spice Queen, my darling Ron. In addition, we're going to give you guys an opportunity to call in as well. This is as much my conversation as it is yours, right? So, help me introduce and welcome the Honorable Ron Redhead. How you doing, my brother?
Well, not too bad, Junior. Just cool for the time and enjoying the hot sun in Grenada.
Yeah, let me tell you, boy. Let me tell you. Some cold weather is coming your way.
Yes.
Because Canada started to get a little chilly. New York started getting a little chilly. You go down Florida, you come down there. So cool weather coming your way very, very soon.
Yeah. Well, we're looking forward to it. Anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look at this, Ron, Honorable Mr. Redhead. You are getting some rave reviews. People are loving you. My minister, thumbs up, loving you.
Yes, man. Well, it's always one love and good vibes with people. Generally, people who know me and honestly could speak about me know that it's all one love. I have no enemies on my end. People would time and time have their own issues, but I have no enemies on my end.
Nice. Okay, good. Well, we have a lot to talk about, Minister Redhead.
Yes.
Let's first start with you.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, why you got into politics in the first place? There's so many other things that you probably could have been doing, Mr. Redhead.
Yes.
And so much dirt and mud pelting in this game of politics. Why you even got into politics?
Well, first and foremost, just to answer that specific point that you raised, is to change things like that. Because, I mean, at the end of the day, right, my involvement in politics is to make a difference. In fact, I, like anybody who knows me, know that I like solutions. So if you bring a problem to me, fine, that's good. Thanks for raising it and bringing it to my attention. But how do we solve it? And so I live by that code. And I do not spend my time, as much as I like a good old talk and that sort of thing, but I do not spend my time wallowing in problems. I like to bring solutions and to solve problems.
Okay. All right. So you're a problem solver.
Yeah. But essentially, just to go more specific, no, I got into politics as a result of my father. When I was younger, we grew up listening to BBC Caribbean, CNN, that sort of thing, reading newspapers. And I would always get leaks to make sure that I read the articles and to understand what is going on in the country. So as much as I wanted to go to school and just have fun and that sort of thing at a young age, I was very aware of national issues and had to be aware because who my father was. He came up in the revolution and politics was almost an essential part of what they would do. And then he was a labor man. And as such, they were constantly involved in the political analysis, both from a geopolitical standpoint and also locally. So I had no other choice.
So, as a young up and coming individual, did you ever think at some point in time you will be in frontline politics?
No, and I would just be frank and honest here. As a youth, I supported, for example, the National Democratic Congress, even though I couldn't vote at the voting age. But in particular, my father and my father's family side, some of them, not all, supported the New National Party. And as such, growing up and having to experience what we did, in fact, I think the thing that changed the whole dynamics for my father in particular was when he was encouraged to receive a bribe from Dr. Mitchell to sell out the GBN workers. And he rejected that completely and he paid dearly for it. Similarly, how he paid dearly and severely for defying at the time in the revolution when the move was against Morris Bishop. Everybody who knows him knows that he was a big supporter of Morris Bishop and was integral in freeing him under house arrest. And in fact, he paid severely for that, was severely beaten, almost killed, and survived. And today, I am telling his story. As your program say, everybody have a story to tell.
Yes. how did that shape your political views? Because we have two main political parties. Well, of course, there are others. There have
Yeah,
been others.
yeah,
How have that changed your political insight? Being a part of the National Democratic Congress
right.
versus the New National Party.
Right. Well, essentially, I saw the two as this. So I'll describe them. One I saw as a ready-made party that, if in fact that I joined, it didn't have much work to do. So you couldn't learn on the job, essentially, because everything is almost done for you, is controlled by one individual, that sort of thing. Whereas you had the NDC, who I saw as the harder in the two in terms of the task, and will provide the better platform to learn politics. And essentially, I had to make the decision because I will just share with you that I was a victim of political victimization. I was training at the government printery. I can't recall the year right now, but was excellent, right? Anyone could give you the story. Some people try to downplay the issue and say there was no political interference, but we all know better and we know what we're dealing with. I was denied the opportunity to receive a permanency. At that time, was extremely young, right? I'm just 31, but I was still younger than then and was seeking to pursue some studies. And that almost crushed me. Now, having gone through that, I said that I was going to stand and go forward and to make sure that no other young person, despite their political affiliation or leaning or interest, should be going through that just because they do not support the government in power or something of that nature. And as such, I took the decision to get in frontline. Again, coming from a situation where my family was rooted in politics. In fact, on a Sundays, any given Sunday, you could find my family discussing political situations, national issues, and coming at conclusions and going back and forth, who right, who wrong, that sort of thing. So I was always engaged in that kind of discourse and discussion. So essentially, I had no choice because at this point, I said that, look, if this happened, it happened. I don't hate anybody for it. But my mission is to make sure that we do the thing and do it in the right way. And as such, I took 9 long years frontline in the National Democratic Congress, opposition, and that's unofficial opposition before we were able to see the victory. And thankfully, a young man by the name of Deacon Mitchell, the Honorable Prime Minister, came and really offered a guide, so to speak, right? I think the beauty of his tenure thus far is his leadership quality,
Right.
his ability to show people sometimes what you need, not so much what you want or what you need. And I think that is true of many of the young people, young professionals who join the National Democratic Congress and their own ability to mesh with the party and still to provide that professional touch to the organization and make it into a now modern organization, and having supported and invested time and talents to have it successful in government today.
When you got that call, that first call from the Honorable Prime Minister, well, he wasn't the Honorable Prime Minister at the time.
Yeah,
It was Deacon Mitchell, political leader.
yeah.
Were you ready? Were you ready for all that is and that will come?
No, the simple response is no. You could never be too ready because you're always worried. In fact, I was attending SU, doing well, had a GPA of over 3.0, and was on the cusp of just minding my business, trying to fulfill my own desire as a young man, etc. And I just got my son and such. I thought that, boy, is all well and good. And I served in the Senate to go through that process. I don't know if I'm ready for the bigger step. And
Right.
the other thing was, what happens if I lose, and what happens if the government lose? Because
Yeah.
who you're dealing with. It's not like us that, for example, the positions like Governor General and other positions is normally changed almost immediately. But you notice this government, we're about getting work done. And we do not subscribe to political victimization to the point that it is just a personal vendetta and attack. So all of that run through my mind as to what would happen if I was not victorious. And I consider that. But I said, you know what? That's life. You either win or you lose.
Right.
It's better to go down fighting than to go down as a coward. And so I'm not in the view of being a coward. And certainly for politics, I wouldn't be fearful at all. Knowing fully well what my father went through and knowing fully well where I came from in life, I have fought many and stronger battles than that. So I was not intimidated in the end, but the first decision was, nah, boy, I ain't think already, you know? Yeah.
Yeah, mudslinging, boy, mudslinging.
Yeah.
In
No,
media.
but Junior, unfortunately or fortunately for me, I am not afraid of the mudsling. In fact, I grew up in GBSS where old talk was the order of the day.
Right.
And if you can't take talk, well, you didn't go GBSS or one of them other schools that is pro,
Right.
so to speak, on giving the old talk. So it's something that I'm not fearful of at all, and I'm not uncomfortable with it. In fact, I often get a good laugh sometimes when I look at some of the posts by people who don't know absolutely anything about me, but they just rant and they say all kind of things. But it's all, sometimes when it gets personal, it can affect family. And we always often have to look at that, because it's one thing if you're telling a joke about somebody, but it's another thing if you're deliberately lying and trying to mislead the public about somebody. So it gets different. But notice, I have never sued anyone despite some of the nasty things that people say about me. I'm not fearful of that.
Well, we'll get into that. Guys, we're speaking here with Honorable Ron Redhead. We getting the man history first. I know what all you want to ask, I know what all you want to ask. But hold on. Wait a minute. We will get there. Let's build a story. So, campaign. Going into this campaign, you were designated a specific constituency. You grew up, you know the constituency well. How confident were you?
You could never be too confident. So I like to leave room for failure, because I think it's natural to consider what happens if you do not win.
Right.
But I wouldn't rank my confidence. What I would say is that I was just prepared to do the work. And let me stress here, work smart and not hard.
Right.
Because you see, oftentimes people perceive politics to be this traditional thing where you just come, you lie, you tell stories, you give a false impression, you spend our money, and you could just win a seat. But the truth is, the people have long graduated from that. And in particular, St. George Northeast been through a tremendous struggle with political leadership for the constituency for a long time. And as such, being cognizant of that, because you have to be aware of what you're getting in. You can't just jump because you have money and feel you could win a seat. That's not how politics operates. You need to know the conditions. So essentially, understanding all of that and taking those things into consideration, I was then able to craft my own strategy. So it was not bought out of any major thing. Just one cocoa and be straight up and honest to the people. I often always tell the constituents, I don't want to give you no story or no false promise.
Right.
So when they come to me with instances of concerns, I often try to find the best solution for them or direction to which they have to go. Because I don't want to make a false promise to anybody that they try to use these things against me. And the other thing is just being frank and honest to people and just have discussions.
Right.
I didn't hold anybody ransom if they voted for me. I'll give you a joke. Before the election, a lady met me. 15 again. I'm bothered with her, laugh it off and so on, as per usual. After the election now, she comes to the office as if I don't remember her. And she says, Mr. Ron, I vote for you, So, I say to myself, well, don't watch that. It's not about if you vote for me. At the end of the day, we have a country to build, we have a community and a constituency to develop, and that's what our focus should be on. So it's one love with me and people. Many of people who support the opposition, they often come, they chat and so on, and when they leave, they often tell me, well, what they're saying about you clearly is not true, because look how peaceful and humble and honest you're speaking to me. They really didn't expect that because of what they are being told. So I just try to keep it natural.
Yeah.
Two things that I have learned is that you remain the two H's. You remain humble and you remain honest.
Yes.
And once you're dealing with people like that, you could move mountains, Junior.
Absolutely. Do you think that your victory was as a result of the absolute weakness of your opponent at that in the same constituency, or do you think that it was a referendum on the leadership of the party, of
Well, it
the
could be
opposing party?
right. That's a good question. It could be a combination of both, but I cannot specifically say either or. And I'll tell you why I say so. Because we were dealing with a situation where the COVID-19 pandemic posed a serious pressure on any government who was in office.
Right.
I think what it came down to was how you were going to deal with the issue. And from a health standpoint, there were concerns, naturally so. In fact, I am on record almost every other week when I served in the Senate, just before I resigned, I would talk about what I think government should do at the time. In fact, I was reading one of the books that George Bizan wrote a number of years ago. And in that book, former Prime Minister George Bizan and Member of Parliament for St. George Northeast actually identified that the Black Plague, I think at the time, was able to enter Grenada easily because of the weaknesses of the port and the weak healthcare system and structure in place in the country. And the fact is, that was written many years ago, but it was almost true even in this era and generation. And it really had me thinking that for a long time, Junior, most of the concerns that we had in the country, they were not being solved. What we were doing was just massaging most of it and putting plaster over the wound and not really getting down to solving the problems of our country. Look at the issue of pension, for example. Right? So we had a situation essentially where from Northeast to almost all the other constituencies, because for a large part, the conflict between Mr. Clement at the time and, well, the Honorable Clement at the time and his leader ultimately created the condition for the strife. And then, to a large extent, Northeast St. George was not getting sufficient representation. I can tell you just simple things, right? From maybe the housing program and so on. The central government took total control, and there were chaos and victimization and so on. And I dare say that I see elements of that creeping back in, because in the quest to make people feel comfortable, they almost often return to the same fate, and meaning that it's creeping back in under my watch. And in fact, I've already identified some solutions for it and should be making good on those in the next year and budget cycle. But that aside, this essentially was a problem that gave rise to the call for change. And then there was a young man by the name of Kem Jones, who was adamant, living in the constituency.
I don't even know that name. Who's Kem Jones?
Yes. A very good young man to myself, certainly. But that young man came to me an afternoon. I was walking up the hill, and he said he wanted to do this thing. He wants to know if I'm on board. And I said, anything to show that resistance. I'm prepared to do anything. He said, you might get arrested and charged. You willing to do that? I say, anything. And as such, the concept of Youth for Change was formed, and mobilized, created, and we didn't gesture. It was serious business. And we were not only just going and speak on a platform. While we were expressing the feelings of the country at the time, we were actually meeting with high-profile people and encouraging them to get on board and to join the National Democratic Congress. Because for us, we saw change as imminent and the most important to be focusing on, because COVID-19 really exposed Grenada's weaknesses. And as such, we believed that we needed leadership that could change it. And that was the whole basis of this fight. So it wasn't personal. My tenure in the Senate, for example, I thought gave people the opportunity to see what I would perform like as a member of parliament. And in addition, my own level of activism, not just from a community standpoint, but a country standpoint. I was involved in consumer affairs. I was a consumer rights advocate, all these other things. I was involved with a lot of the NGOs. In fact, I have spoken at the time to almost all the opposition forces in the country. And I drew my own conclusion on some, and others I never really engaged beyond a particular moment. So essentially, there were multiple factors. And I think my ability to be just frank and honest with people, Junior, to be very honest, I fear no one. But it's not something that I'm boasting of. I'm saying that I could care less how you see things. The point is, if I come to you and there is a problem, as I said, my position is that we should seek to solve. And as such, I do not spend my time making issues with people and so on. I had my own challenges as a campaigner because it was new territory for me as an individual. And as such, I had to make some very tough decisions. But I was prepared to. And I think most of the times, once people in the election fever, anything you tell them to do, they always say yes. So, so it was nice to get the support then and see the victory ultimately being realized and achieved. But I could tell you, I remember raising with a certain individual when he asked if I prepared. I said, boy, that amount of money I see spending there, I didn't feel I could manage that, boy.
You were outspent. I mean, vastly outspent.
Yeah.
And you're right. I mean, based on I'm observing the election and I'm looking at it, and I ask myself the same question up to today, and I ask other members, other individuals, that was it really a referendum on the weakness of the person that you was up against? Because in the minds of a lot of people, he was not a formidable opponent. It was weak. I mean, there was no, and I'm not saying that in any other way than, he didn't make much appearances. So you kind of ran away because you won by a landslide vote.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, I think, by and large, you can't fool people, and people would see you for what you are. I don't cast judgment on anybody. It's not in my prerogative to do. But certainly I could make the case as to what I believed in and what I did. My whole position was to tell the people what I was going to do. Right? For example, I have my constituency manifesto right here. We campaigned on 4 main areas. I could read them one by one. One, we said that we were going to upgrade and enhance community medical centers, sporting facilities, and government infrastructure, right? And people could base and see, based on what I have come in since the 1 year, what is being done in the constituency differently. 2, we said that we were going to work with our local business community to create an environment for business expansion and capacity building in order to provide more local jobs in Northeast to reduce the unemployment rate in St. George Northeast, right? So you can just think of KM2 solutions. You can think of other businesses that sprung up, and some of them have been speaking to me. In fact, one of the reasons why we got the CES to pivot in the direction of the small businesses is because I personally advocated for it.
Right.
So the issue is, and you often always have to measure 1 year versus multiple years. It's just almost impossible. And we have to be honest about that. The first 6 months, you had to learn the ropes. You needed to know what's going on. It took maybe about 9 months to really hold on and balance the 2 plus the 3. You have family, etc., etc.
Right.
So you always have to leave the space for you to get organized, because you cannot do a hurried bird never builds a good nest.
Right, yeah.
And so what we often try to tell the public is that, yes, all of these issues that is being raised, and for a long time, we are aware of them, and we are deeply concerned about it, just as you are. However, all of it cannot be solved in a day. Rome wasn't built in a day. And so how it's going to work is by one tackling, getting the best solution, solving the problem, and then moving on. Because it doesn't make sense you put in the plaster over the wound, and then the wound is as bad. So that's part of the thing. The third constituency agenda I campaigned on was to enhance housing assistance to target homes without running water or access to electricity, and to provide affordable housing opportunities and internet broadband. And the fourth and final was to develop a program in conjunction with the Ministries of Social Development, Education, and Finance to provide single mothers access to education, skills training, and employment opportunities to reduce poverty in the most vulnerable of the communities in St. George Northeast. So these are the 4 main areas that I campaigned on during my campaign period. That is what I came into office. We have already started the upgrade and enhancement of community and medical centers and sporting facilities. We have already started to work with the business community to get more jobs in Northeast. And then other two, we are in the process. So I am not satisfied with the fact that St. George Northeast has the second largest housing request in the country. And we need to engage all stakeholders to bring that. So I am already conceptualizing a new concept of how we are going to deliver housing come 2024. And finally, that program, which I expect to take shape, in particular, PAM is one of the areas that I have personally identified. That's the School for Adolescent Mothers.
Yes.
One of the areas that I have identified as Member of Parliament to work with, enhance their program and support it. And being Minister of Youth, it's a good position that I am in to be able to influence how we work with.
Let's go back 1 inch, because I do want to go in particularly to all your ministries to kind of understand what's happening in there, right? But I want to go back a bit. So you are given the portfolios of Minister of Youth, Sports and Culture. That's a hefty ministry right there.
It's one of the most busiest ministry, almost on a daily basis.
About the stadium, Lotto, Carnival. It's crazy. And everything under that, right?
Well, the good thing is I don't see much gray beard.
Come in. Give it a couple of days. Give it a couple months. Don't worry about it. Come in. Because that's hefty.
Yes.
Were you surprised of what you saw when you got into the ministries as what you inherited?
Yes. In some cases, there were opportunities waiting to be exploited. In other cases, and to a large extent, there was a lot of, I would say, lack of structure, just to be fair, and a lot of mismatches in terms of how those sectors or ministries would actually contribute to the development of the various areas. So I'll give you an example. Youth, for example, and this is not to chide any particular worker or anybody like that, but there were no or insufficient, I would say, specialists or specialized workers to be able to target the issue, for example, of youth unemployment. So we almost had to build that from scratch. And then we'll take the approach while here, not trying to destroy the economic situation for the vast majority of trainers, for example, in a program, work with them, keep them, support that, and still find the resources to be able to pump in the new direction that we want to go. So it's a very tedious task and one which you need to be meticulous and strategic. And certainly the work of the PSs is going to be critical. I do only have one PS, and I do only have one advisor, Mr. Patrick Simmons. He is providing excellent counsel and guidance from a policy standpoint, taking it from what he experienced, certainly what I am experiencing now, and how do we come up with the best solution at the end of the day to fulfill government's mandate and to deliver on services and other benefits to people. So it's a very busy and hectic ministry, because almost on a daily basis, you have to deal with things. I can tell you, sometimes you have a team going on short notice, and you need to put systems in place. You might have to liaise with Foreign Affairs, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, because you need protocol involved. You might have to liaise with Ministry of Finance, because you might need urgent money. You might have to liaise with NLA. And as such, it requires the collaboration of different stakeholders. So it's not just a case where, as the minister, I could just get up and say, do this, do that, X, Y, Z. That's not how it's operated. And as such, you always have to sit down and plan, because when a problem is identified, I mean, if it was a simple problem, it could be solved at a lower level. But by the time it reaches up to you as minister, you often have to do a lot of, I wouldn't say damage control, but you have to do extra. Whereas if you had a decentralized approach to things, it would have been sorted out. So take, for example, a ministry like sports. The Ministry of Sports is required essentially to be the vanguard for all sporting discipline in the country, and also chart the way forward as to where we take sports. It involves both local athletes and international athletes. What we have done differently was to say that the sports policy, which was sitting on the shelf for a long time, was simply enacted. But we didn't just talk about it. What we did was to specifically form a committee or secretariat
Right.
to implement it. And I can say with the greatest deal of certainty, only today it got the final approval from cabinet to commence the legislation which was passed since 2012 and to enact it. Right. So in short order, we will be making the pronouncements where that is concerned. It involves incentive packages for international athletes or elite athletes for the first time. Before, what we had was a situation of a lot of ad hoc pronouncements. And take, for example, if you, Junior, run a particular event and you win or you break a record, well, boy, we had to give you a land. Nothing was put in place to give you that land. So mouth open, word jump out. But
Right.
the policy to back it was never there. So we have done a lot of work. We've done some reconsultation. We are going to include the incentive packages for the first time. We are going to include things like anti-doping. We went to Jamaica earlier on this year, and sat there. We got a good assessment of JADCO, Jamaica's anti-doping agency, and how it operates. And as such, Grenada is going to be hosting the OECS anti-doping conference next year. Please the Lord. And as such, we are looking forward to leading in these things. We were able to introduce rugby. And as a personal interest, we are going to seek to upgrade Good Hope playing field as the home for rugby. So I'm making the pronouncement now because we are aiming to work with it. It will be a collaboration. There are some foreign dignitaries who already pledged support in it.
Right.
UK, for example, they would like to see something like that because they also enjoy the sport as well. And the fact that it could be played here, I think the only other place it's played is in Barbados and maybe one other country. Stand to be corrected. But given the whole push for sports tourism, that's part of our agenda as well. So there are multiple things happening, Junior, that sometimes just simply doesn't require me to be focused on the petty elements of the politics or the raw politics.
Right,
so sometimes that's why I say I ignore it because I can't stress over that because that in getting the job done at the end of the day.
Right. So let's stick on youth a bit, right? Because again, a very, very important part of the country. We have a youthful population of about 70 something. I don't know if it's still the same, but the last I checked, it was a huge chunk of the population of Grenada.
Yeah.
And then you have a large amount of unemployment.
Yes.
Right. I'm suggesting that it has to do with a lot that youthful population as well.
Yes.
What have you done, and what is the administration plan to sort of curb or fix or help in the unemployment situation that currently is ravishing? It's certainly ravishing the youthful population.
So the first thing we have done was to say that all the existing institutions that do youth development was to take somewhat of an audit of them and to look at the strengths, weaknesses, and opportunities. The second thing that we have done was to move forward with passing, or rather approving, TIVET, the policy which deals specific with skills. Because what we have really, in addition to the mismatch in terms of what the education system is providing and what the job market is requiring, is actually a big gap when it comes to the recognition of skills and how you can use your skills to be gainfully employed, and not see it as a little gig or pankwai that you learn or have a skill and you can't get much money for.
But isn't that a part of the problem if we're still pushing that go to school, find a job, go to school, get education and find a job, rather than pushing the initiative of creating employment, becoming entrepreneurs?
Certainly. And that is why we focused so much on the TIVET policy, because in there, for example, there is the position to reestablish sixth form. Part of the challenge is that the young people who are leaving the schools are not sufficiently equipped to handle the rigors of, let's say, a tertiary level education in terms CC or the rigors of life, right? And naturally so, because there are adults who can't even handle it. Again, it has a lot to do with the environment to which they came from and their own upbringing. So if we reintroduce sixth form with specific objectives that can then target these young people from different societies and help them to hone their skill and turn it not into becoming just an employee, while we need employees, but becoming the owner of production, the employer. And so that is one aspect that we are promoting in terms of the TVET policy and what it will help to correct, which is that mismatch and so on. The other element to it is that if we are releasing NVQs, CVQs, and so on, a part of some of the training that multiple or not large numbers of young people have done. And from a government standpoint, we are not recognizing CVQs as part of the qualification to get the employment or to go and study in universities. Then we spin in top in mud. And as such, we took the decision as a cabinet to overturn such a policy and say to the young people who have completed the highest level of CVQs, that is ranked almost at the level of a bachelor degree, to say to them that we were going to create now a scheme or mechanism to be able to rank that, so it gives them the necessary demerit points to be able to either get the job or to go further their studies. So giving skills, or rather professionalizing the concept of skills, is what we are currently embarking on. Because what we are addressing there is twofold. One, we are addressing the large number of young people who already have these CVQs and is looking forward, making it better for them, leveling the playing field, opening up, for example, TAMCC, so that they can get now an associate degree with the question of the removal of tuition fees, and also correcting the situation at the education system. Because we're not finished as yet. We see it fit to overturn the curriculum. But that is much I would say, because I'm not the minister responsible for education, and I'm certain that he will give his piece when we have the budget presentation.
Right.
Would be able to hear the lofty plans of the Ministry of Education in particular. But that is where we see it fit. The other element is the question of entrepreneurship.
Yes.
The creative industry.
Yes.
No,
most passionate about that. I am most passionate about that. Let me sit down, pull up my seatbelt for that one, because
no, no. What we identify is that it's all well and good to tell a young person, boy, one study business, one study doctor or medicine, one study this, one study that. The reality is, one, them jobs in Grenada's context, they will tell you he doesn't pay, right?
Right. Yeah.
One study for 4 years, when you come back, the money you're getting still insufficient, because you would be labeled as almost inexperienced XYZ, right? So you have that to treat with. And two, the issue that we identified was the creative economy actually is not going to limit you where you have to move to other country. You could stay at home and make serious money worldwide, globally. And as such, all the artists, all the other people who do these things, producers, just videographers, as a gig, again, similar to the concept of skills and CVQs and so on, is to say to them, what we want to do is to professionalize that. We don't want to see our young people sitting down, begging a politician to join a program to get below minimum wage and class as a worker, but is being training for multiple years. That's not youth development. And so the alternative that we have offered thus far is just the Ministry of Youth is now embarking on its inaugural program of doing the the CV and job preparedness workshops. Now, I'm pleased to report that it is so far very successful. In fact, the young people want more of that, because if you're saying to a young person, go get a job, the question is, are they equipped with the necessary skills to land that job? And should they only limit themselves? They have CVQ, they could work in the Caribbean. Should they only limit themselves to Grenada? So training them along that line and job preparedness, how do you carry yourself in an interview to land that job? Training them in that area is going to help them go look for the job, but most importantly, increase their chances to be successful. And as such, that is how we see the development of young people, where they both are involved in the day-to-day development of the country,
Right.
but they themselves are benefiting in a direct way, effectively, not just piecemeal. Again, going back to the point which I said, putting the plaster over the wound,
Right.
doing it in a way that they are actually going to be enhanced and they have a better chance to survive out there. Not just the usual Imani, and you have to go in an MP office and sign up and beg and back
Yeah.
and forth and so on.
That is a question.
Yeah.
That is a question that a lot of people are interested in, because there was a lot of talk that said that, with this new administration coming in, what they would do, or they would dismantle the Imani,
Yeah.
and what would be done and what would not be done.
Yeah.
What is actually being done with Imani?
Right. So I can tell you we are in advanced stages. In fact, my ministry is reviewing now the MOU with one of the business places in Grenada to absorb a large number of the current trainees. It has decreased somewhat, and the decrease is largely due to us increasing our ability to find permanent jobs for the trainees. So, for example, the Ministry of Karakupiti Matnik said that they are ending this Imani trainee kind of setup and will just give the young people a proper contract to work with the ministry. So it increases their pay.
Contract? First
Yeah.
contract?
Well, that's the option. That's the option we have available now, given
Right.
the situation, right? So regularization is an ongoing process, and I'm certain government is going to make some
But
pronouncement.
why contract though? Because the government.
No, well, the last administration actually, when they engaged in the structural adjustment program, made it policy that any hiring that would be done would be from a contractual basis.
Right.
And in addition to that, there was the 3 for 10 arrangement, where every 10 people who retired from the public service, only 3 would be rehired. And so that greatly impacted the quality of the public service over the period of time. And in fact, it created almost 2 public services where you had trainees, contract workers, or contract for service workers versus the established workers. And in some instances, trainees doing working years, but getting stipend, $600. I mean, I have the list not in front of me right now of some of the stipend that our trainees are getting. And it's an embarrassment. And they are performing duties that require a proper standard of pay, something certainly that is above the minimum. And this stipend is way below, and we can't afford that to be continuing such a program. So there are a number of areas, Junior, that we had to look at, we had to flag, and over time we're going to develop. So, for example, the opposition is always saying, where's the alternative and so on. Well, any rational person know that they're just speaking because they have to. Because the reality is, to clean up this mess that was created for a long time is not going to happen overnight. And then, as I mentioned earlier on, a hurried bird never builds a good nest. So all the old talk people would make about, I ain't nothing, and so on. The fact of the matter is, for us to reach that point, we need to get a clear understanding what is happening and where is the best place to pivot. So that is being worked on. And as I mentioned, the expectation with this business entity is that they are going to absorb the trainees, they're going to get a probation period, and would be absorbed permanently into the establishment, increasing their pay, ranging from all levels in the establishment. So we are looking at cleaning up the program, so to speak, by providing job opportunities. The easiest approach would have been to end the program and just send home everybody. But I know a lot of the trainees. Some of them are my family members, friends. Some of them are people who I went to school with, classmates, former classmates. Some of them are just ordinary Grenadians. And as such, they deserve a right because they didn't cause this situation or environment. And as such, they deserve a right to still make something of themselves, notwithstanding they have been in this program for multiple years without any upward mobility.
That by itself is a chunk, it's a lot, it's a hefty deal, right? But at the same time, in managing all of this, you also have to think about your constituency because at the end of the day, they voted for you,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
How do you prioritize your time with the job that the Prime Minister gave to you, Honorable Deacon Mitchell gave you sports culture and youth, and your constituency? How do you balance this?
Well, it's a difficult task, but I'm only joking. It's one that I'm up to. I
Yeah,
think so. I'll give you an example. The Ministry of Sports, for example. Now, as sports minister, naturally, I think the first thing that everyone would expect is that I should just fix all my fields, fix all my hard court, and don't bother with nobody else.
right.
But what I have done was to lay out a program to facilitate the rural community in particular. Because coming from a basis of the Minister of Youth, the challenges that we face in Grenada among young people are largely in rural communities. And as such, my priority as the minister is to support the upgrades in the rural parishes first before I get into Northeast. Now, I already have done, so we have Vendom, Boca, Good Hope, Tempe. Um, we are also looking at the Mardi Gras playing field to upgrade. And as such, what I've been doing was to do all the preliminaries behind the scenes. And then once we're in a position to do the work, we're going to get it done. Right? My whole position is that even if we need to talk youth development, the fact of the matter is you need facilities to be able to lead out and roll out these programs. So whether it is sports, whether it is youth development or community, you need strong community centers. Look at the Vendom Community Center, for example. It's in a state of disrepair. And these things cost resources. And remember, when a budget is read, it is not a case where we just have unlimited resources from the government standpoint to just do anything. And we can't just get up in the morning and say, do this, do that, do the other. You often have to operate within a procedure. And you often have to say, if this is going to be the priority from a government standpoint. So it's not an individual minister just getting up and doing what he wants and so on. That is not how the thing operates. So I could tell you, for example, I did have playing fields in my constituency, EMAC, to commence upgrades.
Right.
But fortunately, we had Windward Island games and we had to give priority to the Tanti netball court, which costed us a lot of money. Again, these things are not problems we created, but we inherited those issues and we needed to solve it. And the library indoor had court. So
Someone from your constituency on the question of playing field. Someone said, could you please ask the minister, what are the plans to upgrade the playing field in the constituency of St. George's Northeast? The Vandam and Boca playing field are in a bad state.
That's correct. That's correct. So Venom in particular is one that is dearest to me because it will be the Mecca in St. George Northeast when it's completed.
Right.
We need to work on the drainage issue, which is a problem, again, inherited and has worsened. Part of the challenge is the management of the facilities, right? Often people just see it as to cut the grass. And it's much more than that. You need to care for it and you need to ensure that certain amenities are available. Something as simple as a chain so that vehicles can't drive on, etc., is critical. Boca, when we came in, there was a quote-unquote project being funded by NLA, which expended almost $280 DC dollars just to build a half a pavilion and put up some wood. Now, I don't know where all of the monies disappeared to, but the quality of work, and I say this with no disrespect to whomever the contractors, because there are multiple people that were receiving the pay. No disrespect to them, but I'm saying that if you are hired or contracted to do a work, make sure you do good work. Because that's what I tell the contractors in St. George Northeast today. So Boca playing field in particular was in a mess. We were able to stop that. We have put a stop to the hemorrhaging. And I can comfortably tell you that what we're going to work on now is the outfield itself. The ministry is exclusively handling that. Lamode, for example, we have done the initial upgrades. We done the road. We need to finish the second phase of the road. We have already received the plan for building the washroom facilities up in Lamod. The outfield is doing well, it's doing wonders. We have upgraded the pitch, cricket pitch, and we are working towards getting electricity up at that area because it's almost isolated from off the road, but it will be a very nice playing field when we're finished. So work is ongoing there, and Boca as well. Vandom in particular, as I mentioned, is the field that we are going to do one of the most beautiful upgrades to, and we would use new techniques and technology to be able to have sporting events up there. We have time, but I'm not looking just about winning an next election. I want to do a proper work and develop the community. And as the person said, to return Northeast to what it used to be, the glory days of sports, culture, and so on.
Yeah. Somebody said, boy, oh Lord, are you moving too fast? Why don't wait until the election come around for you to do all them work there? You had to slow down.
No.
On a serious note, so this question came up as it relates to youth and the politicization of just politics all over. Someone asked this question here. Where is it? Okay. Where is it? Okay, I think I got it. Okay, how do you plan to encourage more cross-party cooperation and collaboration among the youth politicians to foster a less polarized political landscape?
Right. And one of the things that we identified, because we had to do a synopsis on the Ministry or Department of Youth in particular, one of the things that was listed with some of these programs is its incessant relationship between the politics. And in some instances, it kind of hinders the ability for professionalism to take root and to actually solve the problems of the young people, because everything is being made on a political decision. So we had that to treat with. We were able to correct that over time. We are satisfied that it is no longer an issue. Elements of the politics in terms of its influence on different things are still there.
Right.
And you can't run away from that. For example, we have a party manifesto, which we came into office with, and which kinds of spells out some of the initiatives that we are going to be working on. As I mentioned, our position is that we want to build institutions, and not just some government temporary program that just only they ratcheting up only when around election and you're talking about expanding, and after that they leave you on for years. So there are plans to depoliticize it. The challenge is, or rather the question is, the how. Certainly are trying different models and getting people to understand, as I mentioned, that we focus on institutions, that we focus on things that actually contribute to your long-term development and not just for the now. Because it's all well and good to get an urgent stipend just to train, but when 10, 15 years as a trainee come about, you realize you have 2 children and you're still receiving $600. That's when reality kicks in. And so we need to go beyond that. Again, the other element is to have the clear policy on how we treat with our young people. And that is something that we are working on from a ministry standpoint, upgrading that youth policy and ensuring that it factors in not just the politics, but we reintroduce the youth and student council so that you give young people almost the autonomy to plan their initiatives, and they can feel confident that if their responsibility is to move this bottle of water, they need to worry about if they are green or yellow or whatever the other thing is. We are focused on the task at hand and are getting it done. We are taking advantage of their creative capacity in a genuine way, not in a way just to talk about helping party and all these other things. Those things have their time when you can engage the young people from a political standpoint.
Right.
But you must not do that almost as the only objective.
Right.
And run all your programs almost through your constituency offices and everything they have to come through you and have to report. That's not development. And so we really are guarding against that. And as minister, I have taken the necessary steps, and I'm confident that the ministry, certainly under my leadership and the leadership of PS Desiree Stephen, PS Alva Brown is on holiday. So the ministry currently is operating with a new PS, and we are looking forward to continued work as we forge ahead.
Still on the topic of youth and politicization, what role do you see the media playing in exacerbating or mitigating political division among the youth, and can your ministry work with promoting constructive dialogue?
Yeah. One of the things I discussed with some producers in St. George Northeast a few days ago was how do we get positive messages across platforms that young people would listen to, various maybe radio stations, podcasts, whatever it is. And we do that from an institutionalized standpoint and create positive sentiments can then turn into a more positive reaction
Yes.
or feeling among the young people. So, for example, you speak of the role of the media. The truth is, the media has the responsibility to report stories as they are, facts,
Yes.
not to get into taking sides and trying to play on public's emotion. And I'll give you an example. I regret to have to bring it up. Let me just say to the families who had to suffer that pain of loss of their loved ones, I am very sorry about them. My deepest condolences on behalf certainly of myself and the government of Grenada. To lose your child or loved one is not simple, and to do so with an accident is certainly something that is hurtful, is painful. But I'll give an example of my situation compared to that where children actually died. And the sensationalism around my own was simply because of the politics. And it is not until a video surfaced, people got to understood what really happened. And there was no case of deliberately driving a vehicle to hurt or harm anyone. And they got to see. And of course, the hysteria still remained on some parts, but people got to tell the story. It reached to the point where my driver's license was out there in public. And so, I mean, you could imagine the annoyance of anyone. We are dealing with situations where people can fraudulently take identity. And you will do that to a government minister out of politics. So you have to analyze and understand what we are dealing with. But I'm saying the media has a responsibility to report the facts and not try to get into the sensationalism or even politicize. Because what the media says and promotes actually trains the responses of the young people. And as such, Grenada is often known as a nation who likes secondhand information and largely hearsay.
Yeah.
Most people do not want to go out and do the research, do the investigation, and even find out facts for themselves. They're always judging. So, for example, we lost a young man through whatever means. The police concluded on the investigation. People have to make statements about they believe and so on. So we have this kind of mindset in the country where I believe the media does have a role to report facts and not entertain too much of hearsay and hysteria and so on. So individual journalists, media houses, they have a responsibility to report facts and not to sensationalize things just to get the thing to sell or, be factual, be truthful.
Let's pivot a little bit because you brought it up. I was going to go there, but no, I was going to go there later, but I'll go there now because you dive into it. Now, the accident, widely seen, I mean, it was something that was put out there that first when I heard it, it was said that you ran into a kid, almost killed this kid, and the situation was all your fault. You was reckless. You was on the phone. You was doing whatever. Tell us the story from your perspective. What really happened?
Yeah. So that day I came out. We were distributing school bags to various constituents. We were behind schedule, and as such, I went to drop one of the workers home, who spent the entire day with me, and so I dropped him home, leaving a police. But there was a birthday party around a corner, so them guys flagged me down. And you know it is. You can't drive in a constituency, an activity happening, you ain't stopping and so. So that's a normal thing. So I stopped up there. We eat wild meat, bought some drinks for the guys. I got a bottle of water and I headed off. When I headed off, now the narrow roads in Willis is very difficult to articulate if you're not a good driver, and in some instances is prone for accidents, because years ago you could have walked through Willis free once you know Mr. This gone, because maybe about 4 or 5 vehicles existed at the time years ago. But times change. We now have new routes, Monkuma Road, all kind of areas people would pass in. So you have to always be careful. Traffic is always oncoming. So after I passed the shop, I think I took the 2 individuals that were there, just hail them up and driving along. I mean, I was startled, and I know the bikemen was startled. Young people, they're having fun. And I ain't vexed with them for that. They're racing. And as such, I had to be very careful, because on the opposite side of me was a drain.
Right.
Deep drain. And it's either 2 things. Either I took the decision to go down alongside that drain and avoid everything altogether. And the threat was, if I took that decision, there were 2 young children, females, in fact, young girls, walking on that side of the road as well. So had I gone down there and would have had to dance and so on, that would have been a recipe for disaster. That van could have flipped, all kind of things. You never could have tell what could have happened.
Right.
And as such, I almost had to avoid the young man and still stay the course without almost going down in the drain. So the road is very narrow. In fact, anyone can go there and they can see where the marks are from when we went to recount the accident itself. So that road is a very narrow road. Additionally, it's a blind corner. Because once you're by the shop, you cannot immediately see. You're coming up a hill and it's a corner. Right? You cannot immediately see what is coming. So yes, you have to be cautious, but both drivers had to be cautious. So that was the real issue. The incident occurred, and my initial reaction was to get help for the young man. Now, I could have ignored the whole situation because clearly I was impacted on my side, but I didn't see it like that, because that's not how you live life. I took the young man to the hospital. I remember him calling his mom, etc. And by the time I reached the hospital, I saw all kind of things. But I ignore all of these things because at the end of the day, I just wanted to know if the young man was okay.
Were you speeding? Or were you on the phone?
No, I was not on phone or anything like that. In fact, the phone was on the chair, right? Right where I left the phone when I came out from the vehicle by the birthday party. I left the phone in the van. So the phone was on the chair, right? So I wasn't speeding or anything. People say I had a drink in my hand. People say I had a lady in the van, all kind of thing. Absolutely nothing of the sort.
So hold on. So you didn't have a drink in your hand?
No, I didn't have any drink in my hand. I didn't have no phone in my hand. I wasn't on the phone or anything like that. But if you're on the phone or you have a drink, you wouldn't be speeding. I mean, that's just difficult to do in the first place. So that was just...
How are you clarifying these things? Because, again, all of this stuff was put out there.
Yeah.
And we see that. At one time, I'm telling you, I heard, oh God, I heard that I was being paid $7,900 a month. I'm like, where the hell is that? Somebody just pulled that number out of thin air. Junior George is being paid $7,900. Like, who make this stuff up?
That's part of the culture of propaganda and fake news. And I think, Junior, you are dealing with it in the US. You know about it firsthand, certainly more than we do. And
Straight out of Donald Trump playbook.
Yeah, so it's a case where lie, eventually you might get some to believe, and then some who just fed up, you'll get them not to vote, etc. So we understand the intent with all this propaganda and lies and so on. And in fact, fake page is the order of the day. Because I could tell you, most of these people who hiding behind a fake page is because they can't say it up front because it's not true. And that's just the reality. But outside of that, I could tell you this, that I didn't stop there. And I didn't have to do it because I did not take liability for the accident. So the Friday, when we went to recount the accident itself, I spoke to Mom. I asked if the principal was in contact with our school, etc. Because I personally, one of the first things I did was to meet with the principal to discuss the student and to ensure that his education would be preserved, that he wouldn't lose time, whatever material that he would require, etc., please make it available. Whatever we can do from a ministry standpoint or government standpoint, we are prepared to do that. And then the second element was to engage hospital services to ensure that he would get all the care without any major costs or anything like that. So we did that from institutions or an institutional standpoint. Now, I was a bit surprised because the Friday this occurred, the Saturday I had some work doing, and I'm a family man as well. So my children are always ramping on me, and so I could never get anything done home unless they're gone to sleep or I'm at the office, which I am now. No. So the Friday, the Saturday, Sunday, someone drew to my attention that I am being accused of all kinds of things on a live. And I was a bit taken aback because contrary to what people say, I am not an evil person. In fact, anybody could come. They used to worry for me and give me a nice story. And I just say, all right, don't bother, hold that, help yourself, do what you have to do. They need to get something. So I'm not that kind of person who holds grudges, and I'm not that kind of person, right? But I was really taken aback, and in particular, with the levels of lies being told on me in particular, knowing fully well that none of that is true. And in life, nothing surprises me really, but I was really taken aback by that because I said to myself, here was a situation and I was going to ensure that I could help in any way possible. There was no official request for any support. I think the only thing is that I said to the investigating officers, I'm not prepared to take liability because I was impacted on my side of the road. And certainly I wasn't doing what people saying and so on. And the video evidence clearly showed that.
Right.
Now, no sooner had I done that, the Sunday, these scathing attacks took place. But what is interesting is that what I know, there are two individuals who are behind this whole thing, which I'm not getting into calling any name or anything like that, but they are trying to influence this matter so that it could be a problem for me,
right?
So that they could make a case to say, vote him out, or he have to step down, or so on.
Yeah.
And to my attention that two things. Either people are not genuine, they say they are, or some people just like to allow themselves to be used. So for example, I am not the type of person to want to engage in this banter and public tirade because I won't take you on. As I tell you, Junior, I'm not afraid of anyone, and I am not fearful of doing the right thing.
Right.
Once I know I am clear, I will get whatever I have to get done. It matters not who I'm dealing with. But I am saying these people went as far as to call all kind of illness on the young man. Say a breaky foot, that do this, you have to go through a major surgery, etc. Absolutely none of that was true. I'm only aware at the time the young man was admitted of one X-ray being done. And we knew what the situation was. I knew the extent. There was no additional charge and so on. I heard a lot of things, but I'm only speaking about it now because we need to be honest in society.
Right.
And don't use everything for politics and so on. Because when people say they vote for me, I know better than that because I know all who vote for me in certain communities and so on. I know it. But these are things, Junior, that we largely have to deal with as politicians on a daily basis. I think the difference is, because I am a young man, I am not going to fall victim to it because I want to change the dimension of politics. It is too negative and too much hinged on hatred and tit for tat.
Yes.
And things that are not moving our country forward. So I wanted to change that. I think me even speaking about it here is testimony that probably what we need is not no private thing, because I could have easily, if I did something wrong, seek to bribe people and hush them up and so on. I'm not into that because I did absolutely nothing wrong up until the point that we had this situation, and my immediate response was to come up with the solutions.
Right. Some people said that
you should have never take the kid out from the crime scene. You should have waited there until the police came and chalala, chalala, chalala.
I don't know that there is anything. I mean, in instances of emergencies, there are times that you take people, you rush them down to the hospital, especially when medical transport is not available.
Right.
And there is nothing preventing, because it was not a crime scene where, you know, someone was lying lifeless on the ground. Right. And we have to be honest about that. So immediately ask the question if he was okay. He said yes, but he said, you know, the waist and so on. So immediately that's what we did. And Junior, I'll be frank here. I have no intentions to disclose any health issue or anything like that. But I'm saying I was very disappointed with mommy's outburst, and it is tantamount to just political mischief. There are issues that I wanted to discuss with her outside of even this accident. Because I did my own investigation on situations and I was willing to help. I'm a genuine soul. And I was really disappointed. In fact, the names who are involved in this shenanigan behind the scenes, only joking and coaxing this thing, just looking for political refuge and so on. And they vex because I beat them. But I am saying that when we are dealing with these sensitive matters, there is no need to go on this rant and accuse people, falsifying information, and making it look as if I did absolutely nothing, when this is very far from the truth. I mean, and I'm saying this because if we are to solve any problem there, clearly that approach is not going to solve any problem.
Right.
What we need is professionalism, not wild accusations and misinformation and, you know, going and spread. So the point is, the video came out. I was even asked to remove the video or ask you guys to go and take down video and so on.
Yeah, well, I got accused, and let me just make it. I had purposely said that I would have. I don't want to touch on that case ever again, because essentially, when we got access to the video, we were the media house that obtained the video.
Right.
I contacted the individual as the parent of the child and asked her the permission to put the video out. I did that. I didn't have to necessarily make that call. It was information that was obtained, but I still, out of courtesy, I did that. But I hear my name in video too. But that is besides that. What? And then I asked if we could help. We have record of me asking if any way we need to raise funds or help in any way. Just let me know, and I'll do whatever I could do. That was my involvement. But I just think that the intervention, people came in and intervened and make the thing big, dirty, stinking politics.
Yeah.
You know?
The politics of it. And I think that's why most young people don't want to get involved in politics, because they are fearful. People accuse them of thing and business and so on. But as I say, I cut from a different cloth. So them things actually drives me to do more than to be coward and running and, you know, because I don't have anything to hide. Junior, as I said, if I am wrong, I am big enough to come out and say, Junior, I did this and I believe I was wrong, if I'm wrong.
Right.
So no one would have no fear. I would apologize to the security guard, to the cleaner, just as I would apologize to the CEO. That's who I am. And I treat all of them equal.
Yes.
But to make this case as if I was a monster, and knowing fully well that is very far from the truth, I have to speak about these things, because these are the very people that would crucify Jesus and have Barabbas as the God and Savior, when Barabbas is the worst piece of thing on earth. And I'm saying, again, politics is how you treat people. I didn't treat anybody indifferent. I dealt with the matter as I should. And I am still in contact with family members. I even helped them. I don't have to talk about it. But I'm saying I do not believe that at this point, that was the approach to take. A simple request, come, let's sit. In fact, I said at the General Hospital to the family that when all of this blows over, I want to come and sit with you. That was the same day I went to drop the young man from the hospital home. I was called by his mom to do so. And I'm saying that I don't need to do no live to accuse nobody and falsify any information. If we need to have a conversation, let's have the conversation. People say all kind of thing about me. I didn't react to them.
Right.
In fact, one of the perpetrators who say all kind of nasty things and making posts and so on while the event was happening, whenever I see him, I still hail him up.
Right.
Right? Because I don't have time for that and so on. Life is too short to be making enemies over KSA and all this. I mean,
Yeah.
come on.
Listen,
Right? You know, it's about life at the
let's
end of the
take
day.
a second gear from that because I think that exhausted his time and promoting
Yeah, you know,
that
so
conversation.
that's the situation.
Let's
Yeah.
talk about your license was out on public display all over the place, right? Did you ever get to the bottom of how this private document, which obviously how it was captured, it seemed like it was captured from inside. So it's not like somebody had your license and they took a picture of it. It was captured from the system. So that means someone accessed your information. Did they find out who were responsible or who accessed the data?
I'm not at liberty, Junior, unfortunately, to disclose that at this time.
Okay, I understand. I could understand that. But that is dangerous. That is very dangerous.
Yes, it is.
And it don't matter if you are being political about the whole thing. That's kind of one thing that you don't do. Like you don't go there. Like I think that is far.
Yeah. Well, you could have your political views, but once you start to get personal and, you know, taking people private information and so on, it's clear that you are just interested in yourself because it says more about you as a person,
right?
Whoever is the perpetrator, than the person you're trying to embarrass or accuse of some wrongdoing. You know, so in my view, Junior, this speaks to why we need proper legislation. So, for example, we are interested in passing the Freedom of Information Act. And you heard it in the throne speech. It's something that we intend to make a reality. We have also passed the legislation, the same follow-up from the International Crimes Bill, that collage of laws. We passed the one on in terms of privacy. Now, there was a big kick-up against that because some people are very fearful of the consequences of releasing information that they ought not to. So they will make the case to say, well, you're targeting people and you could just go in their house and so on. So there was a big uproar by a small group of people about that.
Yeah.
The issue is, at the end of the day, we have all these elements of identity theft and all other things that are almost routine on social media, right? The IT department, which deals specifically with some of these things and being able to identify hackers and all these other things, they are always sending out messages, right? Mr. W and Jervis W. And
yes,
by the way, he's doing a good job. And I'm saying that what we need to do is start limiting these instances from occurring. So I'm saying when you take my driver's license and then somebody take it and they impersonating me and so on, that could lead to diplomatic embarrassment. It could lead to some threat or some kind of thing to the country where they believe a minister of government, because you have the identity, you're actually identifying yourself as a minister, is going on a tangent and doing all sorts of things. So I'm saying, even from that standpoint, whether or not I have political differences with anybody, I'm not interested in that because that is not getting you anywhere. And what they don't realize is that I have family and friends just the same who was bitterly opposed to what went on, because they know I wouldn't do that to somebody.
Right.
Junior, let me tell you how I operate. People just tell me their business. In most instances, once it's your private business, I deal with you on the spot. I give you the recommendation. It comes here. It goes out the next day.
Yes.
I don't want to peddle it and going about and repeating people's business and all these kind of things. Sometimes you need to just be professional. So I'm saying all of that to summarize and indicate that to a large extent, this was improper.
Yes.
It was a breach, not just from a standpoint of confidentiality, but a breach in privacy and my own personal data and information, and will have a very hefty price or consequence once I get to the bottom of it.
Yeah, no,
I'm
seriously.
saying it, and I'm leaving it right there.
Let me ask you about another thing that I've been circling, because you're on the spot, you're in the hot chair
Well, I don't know why. I mean, I just try to go to work and come back home.
Just like me. Just like me, but we call him. So hey, you got to face it too. Now,
Yeah.
there was some talk about a vehicle. Some
Right.
vehicle
Yeah.
that was somehow in your care that was not supposed to be in your care, and somehow the vehicle was sold,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Tell us about that whole story. I never really understood get to the
Good.
bottom of this whole story about that
Yeah,
vehicle.
fair enough. So essentially, that van was given to me during the election to lead the campaign and other things. It was said that I was walking too much and I needed a vehicle or transport. Anyhow, I took that van maybe on the last, maybe May, before the June 23rd election. I personally didn't take it because at the time I didn't have driver's license.
Right.
So I wouldn't engage in that, even though I was learning to drive, but I
Right.
didn't engage in that. Now, the van was being used for the campaign. I wasn't driving it. And as such, the van after the election, I offered to purchase the vehicle. Because I say somebody can't give you the vehicle like that and you ain't give back to them as a result of the kind gesture. So I just offered to buy it and buy the bullet. But the truth is, the reality is, I had to deal with the cost that I was spending on the vehicle itself. In fact, I'll be frank here, because what I am saying doesn't need anything, and nobody could bring any legal matter against me. The vehicle had major issues. That's all I would say.
Right.
One point, I brought it to change some tires. When they jack up the van, them front springs fell out. It was a risky business. But that's only one aspect. We spent almost $10,000 or $12,000 on the vehicle. I mean, I ain't even counting gas and all these other things and fluid and coolant. And I ain't even counting that because that is expected. But the vehicle didn't run much during the election because essentially we had 3 vehicles. And that particular vehicle served as the vehicle for my night staff, which we had. Right? So it wasn't a case that it was the most used vehicle and so on. That wasn't the case. But notwithstanding that, this vehicle was sold. I personally spoke to the then owner, expressed the concern. I won't get into any details because it's not my prerogative to do. I'm saying I'm prepared to go to any way to defend my good name. I didn't take something that I had no right to this and so on. I indicated what we would do, that listen, I will just sell this vehicle to a mechanic. He'll give the 10,000 and I'll just get that to you.
Okay.
That's simply what went on, and I will buy the bullet and take the loss of the 8,000. Simple. So no big sort of thing. I hear all kind of thing, or Tifa van, and same kind of shenanigans every time about this whole scenario, which often gets me wondering if some people are not coming to you just to put you in a situation so that they can then use these things against you, whether for leverage or to tarnish your character or your good name. And I am saying, I'm being very fair and frank to everybody. There are people in Grenada who you could work with, and then there are people in Grenada who you need to stay far from. And it's a simple case like that. But at the end of the day, Junior, there's no love lost in my whole observation of what went on. Everybody was, in terms of paid and so on, there's no issues. We have no outstanding issues with that. And it wasn't a case where I ting in and so on. I mean, I've heard all kind of things around this thing. And I just told myself, again, I'm not going to get involved in it because these things do not profit us. It's time for us to just see that. If we have an issue, again, I am a solutions-oriented person. And I believe that if you have a concern, raise the concern and let's see what it was. But it certainly wasn't because I informed, I said what we were going to do, and we did that. We did just that.
Yeah. Guys, let me give you an opportunity to chat here with Honorable Ron Redhead. And Minister, you being a minister or someone in political office, you take a lot of thick skin. Because you see, with me, I have to speak. I can't wait so long for people to tell me I cannot lie. Like I feel like
I have work doing. You see, I service in the constituency. I service. I'll be working at the ministry and still have my family. I have work doing. In other words, as I said to you, I can't spend all my time responding to
True.
every little stuff that
True.
somebody writes.
Because
I
that's the
mean,
first time you ever spoke about it. That's the first time I hear you speaking about this stuff.
sometimes you just need to just leave things, let it be said, and so on. I hold no grudges, as I mentioned, against anyone, right?
Right.
And I don't have no time for bickering. Once people start to go down that road, I just ignore that because
Right.
I no benefit to gain.
What about again? I don't want to dive too deep, but that has been out there. Because after this, I guess we don't have to have nobody have to have this conversation again. Someone said that how you just get a license? How you just get a license?
Well, I had to drive for my license.
And you're waving for people doing the campaign. Don't tell me you're waving for
Boom,
people like that
boom.
thing. Yeah.
They can say what they want. Yeah, but the reality is, Junior, the reality is that I don't understand how people could be vexed when a young man is uplifting and improving himself.
Right.
Take bus, I didn't used to complain. I used to stand for bus and wait. People passing with their ride, they heal me up. I never beg them for a ride. And I don't have a grudge for that. I have my vehicle now. I give people a ride. So there's no discrimination there. And I could give you a joke. I mean, people often believe that once somebody turns into a politician, they have ultimate powers and can do everything.
Yeah.
I had to go through the same rigors to get my license. I had to drive and learn the road to get my license. And I was driving long before COVID, learning to drive long before COVID. COVID came, I had to stop and then resume, right?
Right.
So you go through the process with the learner's permit and so on. I did that maybe on 2 or 3 occasions with the permit. I start, I stop, I start, I stop. So as fast as I paid for my studies, I would pay for my degree for the learner's permit and would go and do all the necessaries and so on.
Right.
And when my father died, it got increasingly important to obtain my license because I had a young son at the time, I had a family, and I was building my family and had responsibilities that I had to go back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
Right? My girlfriend and my children lives in St. Patrick. So you have to walk in to St. Patrick.
Right.
Right? And he can't take bus because bus, he have his system.
Right.
So I heard Sister Kami complaining about the St. Patrick bus route the other day on WFM, but it ain't no going on. I can tell you that going on a long time. Where people can't get bus. So, that was the situation. So I mean, and I have to talk it because they said that I'm in public life. And therefore, I fear no one in terms of defending my own public utterances. And I'm saying that when people feel that because you're in public life, they could talk about what vest you have on, what shirt you're wearing, where you buy it, and who, and so on. I'm saying that we need to grow past that.
Mm-hmm.
Let's deal with issues. During the campaign was the same thing. It's what they see. I will give you a joke. Somebody tell me they had a public meeting and they say, we put in Ron and Seed and this and that after we win the election. And so it was a big fun. But I'm saying if I wasn't built tough, I all know so I crying, all know so. But the point is, Junior, we have to move past these petty things. As I said, we could have old talk, we could have the jokes and so on. I'm not opposed to that. But once it starts to get personal and so on, then you're dealing with a different kettle of fish. And anybody who knows me, as I said, I don't talk much, but I just act. And that's how I am. You think you win today, I leave in you let you beat up yourself. But certainly, you will lose tomorrow. So you could win this battle, but you will lose the war. That's my position. But I'm saying that when people try to attack you, and I know the group of them, I've worked with them, I know all their tricks, right? So that's why I don't make a big thing about it, because most of them are not genuine. Some of them who coming out and always advocating for this and that and so on, they're not genuine. And that's the frustration. So as a youth, I believe in Kurt Cobain's position that the purpose of youth is to challenge corruption. So as a youth, I believe that my position is that all the people who projecting a particular image, I see through all of them.
Right.
And I will call them out if I need to. But I'm saying I do not personalize the struggles. I deal with issues and solutions around issues, causes and things like that.
Yeah.
That's who I am.
Guys, we're giving you the opportunity to call in. The phone lines are open because I'm sure after the minister speak about this. We don't have to talk about it again. We don't have to have another conversation about this. We could move fast forward on. And giving you the opportunity to call, right? So the phone lines are open, 718-701-5720. And as I said that, we got a call. Let's jump to the phone lines right now. Caller, you're live. Where you're calling us from? And we urge you that, I know some people might be passionate, but also, be respectful. Caller, go right ahead.
Let me express this.
Hello?
Hello?
Yeah, hi, caller. Go right ahead. Where are you calling us from?
Toronto.
Toronto, go right ahead.
Yes, first of all, I want to commend Ron on the way that he handles himself, especially in Parliament. I think he's an assertive man. He gets to the point, as he said. He doesn't speak for a hell of a long time. He gets to the point, very articulate, says what it says, and one thing I noticed, cannot be debated from the other side.
Right.
The other thing I want to mention, I saw the accident by the video that was sent out. And I listened to this guy for 2, 3, 4 minutes on his show, the one who always say Igwe, Igwe, Igwe. And to me, he has
Hey, we don't want to give no promotion, no free promotion right along here. They had to pay for that. They had to pay for that. But go ahead.
With Ron, because he was the first one that mentioned that the guy hip and the guy leg was broken and the guy could possibly die.
Yeah.
And Ron was drunk. Now, when I saw the tape, I actually laughed because I said, if the minister wants, he could have a civil suit against that guy because the guy actually into him. So when I saw the tape, I thought, okay, this would die. But when I saw it continued, I said, something is very wrong with some of our people. The other thing I want to mention, since Ron sort of touched it, is when Keith Mitchell was talking about the Shanti or Dante, whatever the guy name is, and talking about FBI and Scotland Yard and all these sort of different things. And for a former prime minister to betray country by saying that his police force is not adequate and intelligent enough to do the job and know what they're doing, to solve something, to tell people he don't believe it and it's a lie. I just cannot comprehend that. And the last thing I would say is he was calling, since he was trying to be the educator for the NBC, I'm giving them an advice and I'm trying to show them this and I'm trying to show them that. And they should get the Scotland Yard, FBI and all of these things. Why doesn't he now call on the government, get the FBI and Scotland Yard to investigate this gas situation? Because it's
That's a whole other conversation, Dewi, because you're right.
I know, but but why doesn't he call on them now to do that? Because it's a shame, it's a burning shame for a former prime minister to belittle his police force like that.
Yeah.
And Mr. Redhead, all I have to say to you, you're doing a great job. You guys are doing a great job. And here in Toronto, as you guys very well know, we're very strong, we're very supportive, and we are growing. Just Sunday, they reformed a new group here again, right here in Brampton. So keep up the good work. And all I have to say, we need to give Keith Mitchell a pillow to rest his head and stop dying it so that let his grace show his wisdom.
Gosh, caller, I say be respectful. I say be respectful. All right.
Okay.
All right. Thank you. Yeah, man. Yeah. Watch. I don't like to give them guys and 5 and 6 views on the live, any kind of promotion. You know, we have over 1,100 people on the live. 5 and 6. Next thing they get 7 views tomorrow. Next thing they get 7 views on the program tomorrow. It will be my fault. No promotion for them.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I mean, if I could respond to the caller, I mean, just to say, my brother, we are trying our best. The situation is not ideal because we met a lot of deficiencies, but we are working as hard as we can, ably led by our Prime Minister, and he is continuing to provide excellent leadership service to the team and by extension, Grenada Karakupiti Matni.
what about the stadium? What about the stadium?
Yeah.
Because I don't like, let me go back, let me go real Grenadian balance. I don't like how we looking.
Nah, you ain't looking good at all, eh?
You don't look,
Yeah.
you don't look, and
So-
you're right in the middle of the thing there, and you pass
Right.
and you're seeing it. Nah.
So let me say that the stadia, which is reflective of, or rather the plural of stadium, is both being renovated. One, the cricket stadium is being renovated by the People's Republic of China. They have gone through a very intense period of back and forth because we met, we discussed, we signed, and there were some changes that we had to make. One such change is just getting the manuals that is going to come to the stadium in English because not everyone can read Mandarin. So
Yeah, but they don't need,
as
they don't
simple
need
as that.
Mandarin to tell them how to paint the thing. The thing look dirty.
Well, that's true, but you see, a lack of maintenance over the years, Junior, brought the stadium, the cricket stadium, to that level. But we, again, our philosophy is not to wallow that there is a problem, but
Right.
it's to solve it. So the cricket stadium is going to undergo some repairs. We have 2 games, so we suspended the repairs. It was supposed to start immediately after Carnival, August 2023, but we pushed it to January 2024, just so that we could facilitate 2 games. We have a US cricket match that is going to be played in Grenada for the first time.
Ah, nice.
That is a nice series. Out of that, we are going to get gears. We're going to get different equipment for the athletes to be able to hone their own skills. So the Cricket Association is working with the Ministry of Sports to achieve this. We are looking forward to the game commencing shortly, and the public can see that. We were also rather successful in our bid to get the T20 England tour of the Caribbean. So we are going to have T20 matches in December, the 14th and the 16th, to be exact. Unfortunately, this rounds we're not going to have night cricket because, again, just like with almost every other major activity where mouth open words jump out, the conditions and the preparation for lighting the cricket stadium was never there. So we then had to do all of this, but we have to delay this as a result of. But nonetheless, we are going to commence with the upgrade of the stadium. The roof, they have to take off the roofs. We are looking to do it in phases because the work will almost stymie the stadium authority's ability to generate its revenues through rent. We had to stagger it out a little bit, have some more activity so that they could earn some resources because we're preparing also for Carifta and they need the revenue so that they could purchase the necessary equipment for the Kirani James Athletic Stadium. Now, in addition to that, we are also in the position. We already passed through the procurement board and it was successful. The contractors to do the relaying of the track. We met with the contractors, myself and PS Desiree Stephen, virtually, and the new CTO in the Ministry of Works and also the coordinator of sports met with the contractors. And we are satisfied that they understand the situation. They gave their timelines, and we have some minor things to iron out with the contract. And work should commence shortly with relaying of the tracks, but not only the tracks inside, but we're also doing the tracks on the outside, which is the warm-up tracks. So that is going to get a major upgrade. So all in all, we expect that to happen certainly before Carifta. We do have the time, and they gave us the assurance based on the timeline they gave that it will be done. So we are operating on that basis. Again, not making noise until we are satisfied that all the T's are crossed and all the I's are dotted. The public can expect the announcements, and we will put forward all the information necessary. We can be guided accordingly. But all in all, Junior, The situation there is something that we identified firsthand. In order to lead out the sports tourism program, in order to lead out some of these things, the athletic stadium in particular must get its upgrade. And the cricket stadium, we are looking to light the cricket stadium over a time period, because T20 cricket night matches are the way to go. We would like to see CPL
Yes.
being played in Grenada. And so we're working towards that. That's the goal, that's the objective. Again, good.
They like that. They like that.
Yeah, well, I like the applause. Because we don't get much of it. All we get is fix me road or fix me. Yeah, but essentially, so we had to do all of this within 1 year. And it was a difficult task because, again, finding information, following up, I had to go to one of the Caribbean islands, I think Jamaica. That's how I learned that who was the contractor to light the stadium, or he won the bid prior and nothing absolutely was done. They take it and give somebody else, or some kind of thing went on. So I'm saying all of these situations is what we had to deal with coming into government. And we are satisfied and confident that we are now in a better place to lead out the transformation for sports in Grenada, Carriacou, and Pitimati.
We got a caller on the line. Let's jump to the call. Caller line, where are you calling us from?
I'm calling from Canada. Good night, Junior. Good night, Honorable.
Where are you calling from? Canada?
Ron Redhead. Yeah.
Hey, Canada, go right ahead. What Canada take over today? Go ahead, Canada. Galang.
Hi, Mr. Ron Redhead. I just want to say you and the young NDC team is doing a great job. Although there is a lot of Grenadian who is medical and endorse a coma, they can't even see what you guys are doing. And I want to congratulate you for having the skin of a goose, because you've been getting so much stab and you're so strong and your skin is so strong. So I want to say congratulations for having the skin of a goose, and continue doing your job. And it doesn't matter where they shot you, just keep hitting 6 runs. Just hitting 6 runs. And may God continue to guide you guys and keep you guys on the straight, as I just say, you're taking Grenada forward. I see you guys are doing a lot of good job. Just keep up the good work and continue having boost skin, okay?
Thank you, caller. Thank you so much. We got another call. Let's take this call and then you could respond. Caller line, where are you calling us from? Hello?
Hello, good night, Junior.
Hey, good night, caller. Where are you calling us from?
I'm calling from the lovely island of Grenada.
Grenada.
Good night, Honorable Ron Redhead.
Yes.
You know the voice.
Yeah, I think I do,
What
yes.
I wanted to find out, would the tracks on the outside of the stadium be covered? Because I know generally it might be for persons to practice, but are there any plans to cover that track so it would not be prone to the elements? Thank you very much.
Yes.
This is an excellent question. So I would not want to put the Stadium Authority on the, put them on the spot. But what I would say is that to cover the tracks, to preserve it, is an excellent idea. And it's something that we can consider. But it's not being done currently. So it's something that we can consider for the future.
Right. Okay, caller left. We got someone here message on WhatsApp. She said, Willis is one of the largest village on the island with a very large youthful population. What is government plan for the Willis playing field and community center?
Yeah. All right. So I have visited Willis Playing Field Community Center maybe about 12 times since we won the election already. And essentially, what we need to do, we have several issues. There's an electrical issue up there, which we were dealing with some problems up in St. Patrick. There's one also in St. Andrew that we need to sort out, and then we'll come to Willis eventually. But there's an electrical problem up there. There is the issue of where this Nawasa treatment plant or area is located. That used to be where you enter the washroom and so on downstairs in the community center. The community center itself is a disaster shelter.
Right.
And as such, we were looking at what were the necessary upgrades to be done there. We are going to factor that into the upcoming budget. So work has not been done there, but we took all the information and I passed it on to the necessary people. So Ministry of Works, different contractors, one of the things that I'm trying to do is that wherever I can influence it, I would like people in the community with which they are living and is impacted by whatever facility to get the opportunity to fix their facility, they will just add a better element of care towards it, because it feels better when you know you did something, you will try to take care of it more. So that is the kind of community spirit I want to build. But I want to say this in particular. That's up by Horeb. Now, the public views Horeb as an area that is categorized as a slum and all these other things. I don't agree with that.
Right.
So I just want to make that point very clear. There are people who have difficult circumstances, right? What we need to do is work with them to get out of it. But egging on the division and all these other things is not going to help. So, for example, this issue with them squatting and so on lands. The reality is, and I cannot speak for the planning authority, I am only the member of parliament. The planning authority, Ministry of Works, and all the other necessary stakeholders are the ones who have to deal with that. So down to Ministry of Lands, etc., etc. So as member of parliament, I often get these instances where I have to intervene. Now the reality is, you can speak to people, but you cannot make the final decision, because we are governed by laws. We are governed by different elements. What I would like to see as the MP for the area is where we can come together as a community and agree on some things to be done, to which we will add additional amenities to the wonderful people up at Horeb. Not treat them indifferently, but I'm saying the same goes for the outer skirts, where people might be in better position and conditions, living environment than they are, and feel the need to say, well, them people don't have to stay there, etc. I'm saying that what we need is to come together. I have tried to bring farmers together up in that area. I've tried to bring other people together up in that area. We did a cleanup up there. They cook, they do other things and so on. They are nice people.
Yeah.
So I'm saying, as member of parliament, I want to work with everyone. So categorizing people and trying to say they are this and that is a no-no for me. So I am saying what we need to do is to work together. There are instances where if you just tell them honestly what the situation is, they will be willing to adhere. They will. But you need to provide the alternative for people. You can't expect people to struggle and be told they have to move. They build up a little something and then, where they're going to go. So it's a conversation that needs to happen, but I'm only the politician in this instance.
Right.
I am not the one to implement government policy, and we respect the institutions. The planning authority, Ministry of Lands, Ministry of Infrastructure is who will deal with this ultimately, and I look forward to their leadership and guidance in the matter.
Right. Minister, you realize we talked for 2 hours already, right?
What? Well, I have to go home.
I know. Okay, promise, 7 more minutes. We'll go up to you, right? So we got a call on the line. Caller, go ahead.
Good evening, Ron Redhead, Sherry George.
Hey, it's a Sherry.
Whatever happened to community coming together and form cooperatives or form the groups and help the community? Because it seems to me now like everybody wants something to be done. This have to be done and this have to be done. And what's about that playing field? And what's about that for all these years? I mean, there is a lot to be done. So I just want you to be focused and take your time and see what you could do, make sure that it's finished properly, and head to the other one. It does not make sense that you're trying to do this, and then this one you're trying to do that day, and you're trying to remember you're young and you have a family to look at too. I know you love your community, but you have to take it easy and try to do something. But the community needs to come together and help in that regard. Instead of everybody saying, this have to be done, and what's about the light, and what's about the community, and what's about the medical station. Come together and help the community and help Grenada. That's my contribution.
Thank you. Yeah.
Excellent points, Sister Sherry. So, Junior, if we can commence to wrap up, I just want to say that things like that is what I promote. Remember, I also campaigned on constituency assemblies, district councils, what have you, whatever you want to call it. And I am pleased to report that Lamode in particular, there's a group up there which I personally work with, and they are very cooperative. You have the Bolio Village Council. They are working to get it registered. I cooperate with them, excellent as well. And I'm saying that's where I want to take St. George Northeast, where we decentralize governance. So you don't need me to decide if your playing field will get upgraded. You have the system and mechanism in place to do that and empower the people. Because I wasn't elected, I'll say this here, I'm not elected to stay forever and holding on to power and disrespecting people and so on. That's not how I roll.
Right.
I'm elected to serve. I'm going to serve. We're going to get the job done, and we're going to pass it on to the next generation to continue fighting the good fight. That's my philosophy. And I'm saying that what we need now is the empowerment of communities where they can have some autonomy to do things, right? Whether it is through the sports council, where playing fields and hard courts and so on get upgraded on a regular basis so that they don't need a politician to running up and down just to bribe them for a vote to say they do a playing field or they do a hard court and so on. That we are doing these things constantly and without the politicization, genuinely developing whatever sporting discipline or whatever community initiative that we have. So I am working with different groups. I am hopeful that the 9 polling divisions in St. George Northeast, by the time I reach to the first term, I am hopeful that we can, if not achieve all, but the majority, and that Northeast, from a community standpoint, is empowered 100% and can do their stuff. I want to see us return to the days of having the competitions among ourselves. I must say St. Andrew Northeast has put a pitch to me, that's Dr. Tessa Sincere. Let's organize a basketball competition.
Nice.
To some people to get that done. So we're going to have to upgrade the Boca and the Vendom hard courts to be able to roll out that little program. So I'm working overtime to make sure that is a reality, and we're going to do that. There will be some prize monies, etc., etc.
Nice.
So we are doing what we have to do to return us to the days. I'll give you an example. Tempe playing field. Only just last week, we received, 2 weeks ago, we received the necessaries to be able to have access to the light once again. The last administration had a situation where 2 contractors was selected to do the same job. Again, whether it was for politics or what, the fact of the matter, a conflict arose, and we are now having to fix these issues because we inherited. And as member of parliament, I ain't complaining about problems. I get the job done to solve it. So I don't talk often because I don't see the job as something to come and boast and so on. The people elected me to work and to serve.
Right.
While I know I have a life and I need to take it easy sometimes, but we got to get the job done. And my whole position is I'm not waiting until a next election to come and fight up and do this and do that and say, well, you know, good for me because I'm doing that. I'm doing it now because that is what I was elected to do.
Right. On a final note, I had to ask you this question. It would be remiss not to ask you this question. My good friend Ashida, she's been on the program here quite often. She's an active participant of the program. I like her energy, right? But during the campaign, she was very active in support of the party. It seemed like there was some disconnect afterwards, you know. How or what is the relationship like with yourself and Ashida, the party, and Ashida? And are you listening to her and hearing what she wants? And is there a common ground that could be met with her?
Well, I do listen to her time and time. It's somebody that I admire and is still willing to work. My message simply would be to her, I know that there are some differences, naturally so. Things do happen. It doesn't go the way all the time of how we may want it. But come and let's talk. I am still not opposed to it. After the election, whether she wants to say it or not, I did reach out to her. There was once an opportunity came up to represent Grenada in a particular event, and immediately my mind ran on her to empower her, to go out there and so on. I did reach out to her on several occasions. But whatever the issue is, come and talk. She's still my good friend, and I don't have any beef with her. Come, let's see how we could build and move Grenada forward. That would be my message to her. Whatever difference exists, we could trash it out. If you want to talk, if you want to do the live and so on, feel free. If you want to invite me in a live and interrogate me, ask me questions, feel free. Because at the end of the day, we only have but ourselves to go before God. And I do not judge anyone. I like to give everyone a fair chance. And despite, is an anti-government sentiment, I think she means well. And she demonstrated that during the height of the COVID-19 pandemic. And she's a good Grenadian citizen. just like any one of us, and she means well. Whether or not she wants to use social media as a medium, the papers, online blogging, whatever it is, fact is she has a right to, and she expresses herself. But where we sit from government, come, let's build Grenada, let's move it forward.
Yeah. I like that. As I said, she's actively on the platform.
Yes.
I always have her as a guest on the program. She's very insightful. She could get controversial, but I mean, all of us get controversial. But she's very smart. She is smart. Regardless of what some people may say about her, she's focused and she's smart. I give her that. I would like to see some kind of cohesiveness working with her if possible. But listen, Honorable Minister, you did 2 hours. We did 2 hours.
Yeah, but so I had to go home, man, because
go. Hold on, before you go, hold on. Before you didn't know this, right? But I was conducting approval rating poll, right? You didn't know about this?
No.
And I asked the question, do you approve of the work that Honorable Ron Redhead is doing? Right? I just showed the results of the result of every back to everyone's device, and I'll tell you what it is. Before I tell you, what do you think it is? What do you think your approval rating would be? Everyone just saw it.
Well, I'm not certain because I don't necessarily look at polls. The poll said that I couldn't win the seat, but so I don't know. But I just try to do and serve as best as I can.
Okay,
I don't know what the polls are.
Of the 1,000+ people that's watching, we have people watching on Facebook, we have people watching on YouTube, we even have people watching on Fire Stick. Big up to the folks on Fire Stick. We just started this new app on Fire Stick. You cannot vote, but the people on Facebook voted. 285 people voted, and they're in agreement that you're doing a great job. So 285 persons voted yes. 9 out of the live, that's what people that's watching right now, 9 individuals voted that they do not approve of the work that you're doing. So it's 97% to 3% as it stands right now.
Well, that reminds me of the polls that you did leading up to the general election.
You're digging up old wounds, eh? You're digging up old wounds.
So I guess it's only fair to say, well, we may have to accept that as reality.
Yeah, but big up yourself. We're keeping touch. Listen, this is your home. You can feel free to come anytime.
No problem.
You know what I mean?
No problem.
Big up yourself.
All right, man. Blessings.
All right, yeah. Yeah, man. Honorable Ron Redhead, man. Vibes. Yeah, guys, somebody messaged me and they say, well, wait, no, I didn't have to say that about them fellas and them with the 7 views. Okay, but they have 7 views. If they have 7 views, they have 7 views. Watch tomorrow, they might get 10. Just because. Lice, behave yourself. Lice, behave yourself. Lice is in my ear. Get a commercial break, guys. I got closing words. Don't move. We'll be right back.
As we celebrate 50 years of independence,
I love my Grenada.
Made in Grenada presents the celebration of 50 years of Calypso.
Open me a to that night, honey.
One stage.
No, not so fast.
One show.
Music holding me.
Grenada's best Calypsonians performing Grenada's greatest hits. Sunday, February 11th, 2024 at 6 p.m. sharp. Grenada National Stadium. More information coming soon.
When the DJ play Peter Humphrey, she raise her hand and she tell me, making no place sweeter than home.
Now, get ready to conquer the road with Zion Driving Instructors, conveniently located at 1782 Flatbush Avenue in Brooklyn, New York. We are your ticket to driving success. We are known for and specialize in the best rates for driving classes, ensuring you reach your driving goals affordably and efficiently. Our expert instructors offer personalized one-on-one training, making you a confident and skilled driver. Plus, we offer convenient 5-hour classes and various packages deal to give you even more value. Ready to take the wheel? Call us today at 718-374-5678. That's 718-374-5678. Or visit ZionDrivingInstructors.com. That's ZionDrivingInstructors.com. Zion Driving Instructors, your journey to the open road starts here. Contact us and make your driving dreams a reality. Mention this ad and get a 5% off selected package. All Pro Health Staffing announced its immediate healthcare opening in Queens, New York and Nassau County.
Why choose All Pro? Because we're simply the best. We're a company for nurses, by nurses.
Join All Pro Health Staffing as an RN manager, RN supervisor, CNA, or LPN.
We want what you want, and that is great pay and respect.
With full-time position with flexible shift and great pay. Make a meaningful difference in healthcare. Apply today at services@allprony.com. Call 516-387-4246. That's 516-387-4246. Your healthcare career starts here with All Pro Health Staffing.
Choose All Pro. Call now.
The government of Grenada, through the Ministry of Finance, is continuing the rollout of its tax amnesty initiative. The amnesty provides 100% waiver of all interest and penalties on all outstanding balances up to the end of December 2021. All taxpayers with outstanding tax balances and outstanding returns to file are encouraged to take advantage of this amnesty. All tax types administered by the division are eligible for tax amnesty. For further information on the tax amnesty, please contact the Inland Revenue Division at 435-6945 or 435-6946. Email tpshelpdesk@ird.gov.gd or visit our website ird.gd. Amnesty ends December 31st.
I want you folks to play these 3 games from the NLA. Daily pick 3 cash flow and play with. You will be supporting sports and culture, nation building and our future. So go out and play, folks, make it a must. You will see what the National Lottery is doing for us. When you play pick 3 cash flow and play with, the NLA will support you all the way.
Starting September 30th, Monday to Friday, these 3 games will be drawn mid-morning, 9:45 a.m., midday, 12:45 p.m., and evenings, 7:45 p.m. The National Lotteries, supporting sports, culture, and nation building.
Sunday money day.
Get ready, South Florida. NDC chapter in South Florida invite you to the inaugural gala. And it's happening this weekend. This weekend. South Florida. Get ready. Honorable Prime Minister Dick Mitchell will be there in attendance. Florida, the Floridian Ballroom will ignite into a sea of excitement. This Saturday, the 14th October. Don't you miss it.
The Ministry of Tourism and Economic Development and the Grenada Tourism Authority extend a warm welcome to visitors and returning nationals visiting for Carnival and summer vacation. We do hope you enjoy your stay with us, and we invite you to return with friends and family to celebrate our 50th anniversary of independence on 7th February 2024. Tourism is my business, your business, our business.
Yeah. Guys, if you have a business and you want to advertise on Ride Along Live, you want to get your business advertised to a lot of people. You want a lot of people to see your business or see your services. A lot. Advertise on Ride Along Live and stop. Lice, leave me alone, all right? Lice, where they getting the other tree from? Nah, seriously, guys. Advertise on Ride Along Live to get your business and services, product and services seen throughout the world. Ride Along Live. Yeah, we're number 1 for a reason, guys. Put in the hard work, right? And you put in the hard work, you get, whatever you put in good, you get good out. That's what we're talking about. I don't care. Some people in this business, 50 years, they all gray. They've been there for 50 years and, they can't market your business. And that's a problem. Stop throwing your hard-earned cash down the toilet. Advertise on Ride Along Live and gain viewership and also You know, get more people to call your phones. That's how you know when your marketing and your advertising is working. When people actually calling you. Advertise, ask about our amazing rates for advertising on Right Along Live.
Advertise with us and reach millions daily, weekly, monthly. Yeah, over 10 million per month. It pays to advertise with us. Reach more and let us send your business viral. Advertise with us and reach more.
Again, guys, we want to say thank you so much for being a part of this program. And don't forget, Right Along Live is a platform where everyone have a story to tell, right? Where everyone have a story to tell. And on Right Along Live, we have an open door policy, right? We respect everyone. Folks come in and we have a great conversation. That is what it's about. So I oftentimes put out this call every time. You know, if any member of the NNP or the GOLP or the whichever party would like to come in and speak to us, open door policy. That's how we operate here on Right Along Live. We're going to show you the same level of respect that we show all of our guests, right? And we encourage everyone to show the same level of respect back as well. So open door, guys. We are stronger when we speak to each other, right? When we conversate, right? That's what I'm talking about. Strength in numbers. Guys, we got an interesting program lined up for you tomorrow. Don't forget to follow the page and also follow us on WhatsApp. WhatsApp have this new thing where you could actually follow us on WhatsApp. Even before we post anything on Facebook, we oftentimes post it on WhatsApp. So you get to see WhatsApp before you see Facebook, right? So go over there on WhatsApp and follow us on WhatsApp. Lois, if you could paste the link for us, follow us on WhatsApp for updated information. As it happens, you get to see it first. We're working on a story, guys. Tomorrow, we're going to give you more information on it. It's a very serious story, something that happened yesterday. But we're working on the story, working all ends of the story. I ain't going to tell you what it is about. Some of you probably assume what it's about already. But if you don't know tomorrow, we'll give you further clarifications, okay? Catch you guys tomorrow. Peace out. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye. Good night. On behalf of all of our production crew here at Team Right Along Live, our senior executive producer, call our boss lady, Lois JJ, big up yourself. Thank you so much. And our moderator, Kibbs. How you doing? Night to you, morning to you. Gail, and all the moderators and team here that make sure that we build and structure this amazing platform. We say thank you so much. Good night.